Do you happen to always find the magical solution to any problem? Everything comes easy to you and it feels like the whole universe conspires in your favor. If not, don't worry. Apparently, just telling it to yourself might make it true. In the new episode of TikTok is Inventing Really Weird Things, we are discovering the lucky girl syndrome trend. The hashtag has 321 million views on TikTok, and the main idea is pretty much be delusional. Act like all eyes are on you. You are the prettiest in the room. Ask for special favors. You are entitled. Be social, network with everyone. You will get that job. You are the main character. You can make life the reality you want it to be. It is the power of positive thought. The odds are always in your favor. And I mean, we're just some speckles of dust in the universe. We might as well try it and see if it works. But is this trend as simple as it seems? Iona Gamble and Eden Young discuss the lucky girl syndrome in the Polyester podcast, and more specifically are debunking it. They say, it feels ridiculous. You are basically saying poor people can think their way out of poverty. Ill people can think their way out of illness. Marginalized people can think out of being marginalized and climb the ranks of their jobs and achieve success. Me manifesting a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom apartment for $7 a month. Moreover, in a New York Times article, the life coach Lucy Baker says that the lucky girl syndrome mentality might actually be dangerous and ultimately lead to people's disappointment. So, is this trend actually working? Is it useless or is it actually harmful? The lucky girl syndrome originator, or dare I say inventor, is Michelle Diaz when she posted this video back in August already. In it she says, so the lucky girl syndrome is when you believe you are the luckiest girl ever. You believe amazing things are going to come into your life because that is just how you live life. You are just a lucky girl and amazing things just happen to you. And ever since I adopted this syndrome and I started being delusional, it started happening. For some reason, everything always works out in my favor. I've always done everything I've wanted. My craziest dreams have become true. And that is because I am a self-proclaimed lucky girl. And those things just happen to me. And I truly believe that if you believe that you are a lucky girl, it can happen to you too. This video got 3.4 million views, and the lucky girl syndrome trend has seen a great boom around January, coinciding neatly with the beginning of the new year, everybody wanting to start from a new page, making vision boards, and manifesting their dream Chanel bags and private jet flights. Most of the media outlets are actually crediting another creator, Laura Galibi, with the invention of the lucky girl syndrome trend, with a video that she posted in December, very similar to the one of Michelle Diaz, talking about how the most insane opportunities happen to her as a result of simply expecting great things to happen. A few weeks later, a TikTok video of 2 girls eating noodles and explaining their experience of lucky girl syndrome went viral as well. In the clip, which has amassed almost 5 million views, the pair explain how they passed their exams, got their preferred bedrooms in their student house, and more. And I mean, isn't it just lovely to be a self-proclaimed lucky girl? Well, let's look at the science behind it, because surely some research must have been done on this topic. Lucky girl syndrome is basically the law of assumption theory, which is a bit of a confusing wording. It's a theory called the law of assumption. It's not actually a law. It dates back to the 1800s, popularized by the New Thought author Neville Goddard, and it has been since debunked as pseudoscience. But its impact on our collective mindset is still going strong. Essentially, it's the theory that assuming that something will happen, eventually will make it true. In terms of how our brains work, we have a part in our brains called the reticular activating system, in short, RAS. And it works as a filter for us. A classic example you can use is thinking of buying a new red car, and then you start only seeing red cars all around you. In a similar manner, if you only think that good things are happening to you, you will only notice those and reaffirm your beliefs. This is why all of us at some point more or less live in social bubbles, because we like hearing what we already think, and we notice things that confirm our beliefs. Now, similarly, supposedly, if you only tell yourself that bad things are only happening in your life and you're very unlucky and any minute now something bad might happen again, then those things start happening to you. Or at least you start focusing only on the bad things that happen to you. And this phenomenon is also called the frequency illusion, in which the things that you start noticing to be more frequent have actually always been there. It's just now you start to notice it more often. An interesting thing about this trend is the angle from which it is approached, the language used. It's I am a lucky girl and not I can be a lucky girl, as it's a way to rationalize why did all these lucky opportunities happen to these influencers. And were they lucky indeed, or were these lucky things just built on privilege? One comment says, lucky girl syndrome is just often pretty rich white girl privilege as described by the beneficiary's perspective. I think the new shade of manifestation lets them feel they've earned an outcome while allowing them to distance themselves from self-reflection or accountability. Is it the most harmful trend? No. Is it delusional AF? Absolutely. In a world built on the illusion of meritocracy, on hundreds of success storybooks written by famous people in an attempt to rationalize why did they achieve this success to themselves and to others, and try to come up with a step-by-step guide neatly packaged in another opportunity to basically generate the thousand stream of income, it is infinitely more convenient and appealing to say, I just started believing in good things and good things started happening because of it. And if good things are not happening to you, it's because you just don't believe in it hard enough. And this kind of perspective lacks nuance, to say the least. Taking the same series of steps and applying them in two different environments will lead to completely different outcomes. This is also called survivor bias, which explains that just because things worked out for you does not mean it will work out for others too. Another comment under the Polyester podcast says, everyone has correctly pointed out the glaring issue of privilege here, but no one has mentioned trauma. How if you have PTSD or CPTSD, it can literally be impossible not to expect bad things to keep happening and differentiate between a safe, good experience and something that is dangerous. And the relationships between marginalized identities and experiencing sustained long-term trauma. And I think this example really brings to show how unifaceted this trend is and how it may lack awareness in how different people are perceiving reality and their limits to change that perception. A person that has never experienced marginalization and prejudice based on their ethnicity, for example, might link the many opportunities that they received to their manifestation thinking routine, and not due to the fact that they were just lucky to have the right skin color or right gender or right zip code. And unfortunately, the luck is not something that we get to choose or manifest. It's something that we are born into. And I believe that the big part of this luck that these creators have talked about is the financial safety net that they possess to actually follow their dreams. What would you do if you were given, for example, a year of doing whatever you want in order to achieve your goals? While your financial needs, your rent, and your bills will be paid for either through generational wealth or by people supporting you in your life. Because I truly believe that such a financial relief is able to create a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for creative individuals to pursue things that, unfortunately, they were told to put off for a long time. And although there is nothing wrong about having those opportunities, the danger comes when these creators fail to recognize and communicate them to their audience. Because of the nature of their work as lifestyle influencers, they are sharing with us the key to how they achieved this success. And the lucky girl syndrome is a neatly packaged dopamine-inducing type of advice that rationalizes their success. Another word for the lucky girl syndrome is actually called pronoia. And it's basically the opposite of paranoia. And it's the deep-seated belief that the whole world conspires in your favor. And although I'm skeptically approaching this subject myself, I also stumble on this most bitterly written headline I could possibly find. It's called Gen Z's entitled life-changing new way of getting whatever they want without having to work for it. Emily, who hurt you? And I understand that controversial titles will generate clicks, but oh my god, do you really have to insult a whole generation like that? In this article, she gives a quote from a life coach saying that the lucky girl syndrome can be dangerous if we only say that good things are going to happen, but not actually work towards them happening. It triggers disappointment for some, whilst others completely lose their confidence. She told the Post, I use positivity techniques with my clients, but believing you are the luckiest person on planet Earth and luckier than any other living being can be dangerous. Which makes sense. At the end of the day, opportunities for good things to happen appear from our actions and not our thoughts. But our thoughts do have the possibility of influencing our actions. So it's like praying but still putting in the work. Or the idea that believing we are lucky will make us act in certain ways in which good things would happen to us, and thus confirming our belief that we are lucky. The lucky girl syndrome is nothing new under the sun, and it's very interesting to see how it existed through so many generations. The boomers named it positive thinking, the Gen X named it the secret from the book that was really popular at that time. Millennials have their vision boards, and now Gen Z are reinventing it in the lucky girl syndrome. Although positive thinking plays an important role in positive psychology, the two also have some differences. Positive psychology is a subfield devoted to the study of what makes people happy and fulfilled. It focuses on behaviors that can lead to a more optimized frame of mind, as well as on thought patterns that lead to more functional behaviors. Positive thinking, on the other hand, is a way of thinking ourselves into better behavior and greater resilience. It's basically saying, I need to continue enduring it because it could have been much worse. And as expected, positive thinking appears to have some pitfalls as a strategy used universally in all situations. Actually, some research has shown that a more realistic thinking approach seems to be the perfect middle ground. People tended to be less happy, not because they chose either a positive or a negative style of thinking, but rather when their style of thinking did not match the reality. And it makes sense. When things are actually not that bad and you only focus on the negative, it will make you miss out on opportunities because of anxiety and stress, or just stop you from enjoying your own accomplishments. On the other hand, a delusional positive thinking through life can be as dangerous because there are some times in which caution is warranted. Correctly assessing the situation and making a decision in which way to approach it is the realist approach. And of course, it's easier said than done because our realities and our perceptions of realities are so different from one another. There could never be a universal handbook to follow that would tell us exactly what kind of thinking is the best to be adopted in this specific situation. In some cases, inappropriately applied positive thinking can cross the line into what is known as toxic positivity. This involves insisting on maintaining a positive mindset no matter how upsetting, dire, or damaging a situation might be. This type of excessive positivity can impede authentic communication and cause people to experience feelings of shame or guilt if they struggle to maintain such an overly positive outlook. I think we become more and more aware of the effects of toxic positivity over the course of the last years through discussions and portrayal in media and movies, such as the movie Encanto, Inside Out, Don't Look Up, or even Euphoria having touched upon this concept in their own ways. By not allowing people the space to grieve, their healing and learning process might be made more difficult. Psychotherapist Elizabeth Beecroft says, with avoidance comes a lack of acceptance, and that is harmful. Social media influencers that have created a business of selling products online have an incentive to promote positivity. Brands don't want to work with negative or pessimistic ambassadors or have them represent their product. Social media markets thrive on positivity, and thus we see toxically optimistic outlooks frequently adopted. And it all starts to make sense when thinking that the lucky girl syndrome originators and promoters are also influencers. By creating a reality of abundance, of happiness in their lives, they create an aspirational lifestyle that you too can achieve by acquiring the products that they promote. And if your life does not magically become a fairy tale from buying that moisturizer or lip gloss, then it's because you forgot your manifestation routine, silly. And I'm sure that these influencers don't necessarily have an ill intent. They just try to do good business. And if companies have a specific image in mind of how a creator should communicate to their audience, and it is more often than not an overtly, highly positive one, then as a content creator, you too indeed will present yourself in similar ways to get the job. And what is luck anyway? Why do we envision it in such a specific way nowadays? And where did this come from? It is interesting to note that luck actually has very different meanings in different languages, in different countries. The English word luck has its origins from Low German and has a gambling aspect to its meaning. Thus, luck is a way of understanding a personal chance event. On the other hand, before the adoption of the word luck, Old English was using the word speed, which did not have the characteristic of a single event, but would rather be interpreted as prosperity, profit, and abundance, being closely linked with the notions of fate and divine help. So we already have two different interpretations of what luck can mean, one being purely situational and the other having a more universally encompassing one. The notions of probability were introduced with the Latin word chance, that was literally describing the act of dice falling, from the late Latin cadential, meaning falling. In Buddhism, on the other hand, the followers are taught not to believe in luck and that all things that happen have a cause, either a material or spiritual one, and moral causality being the central teaching. In other words, karma. Luck can have many interpretations, one of it being seen as a lack of control, such as the place of birth. The rationalist view on luck sees it as probability taken personally, and that anybody that says they can influence their luck is committing a logical fallacy. Just because two things are connected sequentially does not mean they are connected casually. An example of that would be, I did A, and then lucky event B happened. That must mean that A caused B to happen. In our case, A being saying I'm a lucky girl, and B, lucky things actually happening. And finally, we have the spiritual approach to luck, which has the belief that by performing certain rituals, luck can be manipulated. This is where lucky charms like the Turkish Nazar Ay, the Maneki Neko cat in Japan, Hamsas in Israel, or four-leaf clovers in Ireland are closely associated with luck. Luck is also linked with superstitions, mostly with actions that are thought to bring bad luck, like stepping under a ladder, seeing a black cat, or breaking a mirror. And of course, luck can be brought upon divine favoritism in the form of a blessing, for which rituals of offering gifts to deities are spread around the world. Many African traditions, like voodoo, believe in the ability of people to influence other people's luck. Thus, witches and shamans being well respected and even feared in the communities, as they are believed to be able to bestow bad or good luck on other people. The lucky girl syndrome works on the idea of the self-fulfilling prophecy. The idea that the belief in luck works as a placebo, producing positive thinking and improving people's responses to events. For example, a 2010 study showed that golfers that were told that they had a lucky ball performed better than the ones who were not. On TikTok, people are crediting lucky girl syndrome as the reason they've won sports bets, become first-time home buyers, and gotten a raise. Astrologists are tying lucky girl syndrome to birth charts, and others are sharing the positive mantras they tell themselves to have a lucky day. And at the same time, people are looking up Lucky Girl Syndrome subliminals on YouTube in order to maybe be able to bend the events of their life in their favor too. And although these things start to sound more insane and insane, an explanation why the Lucky Girl Syndrome grows to have such a strong grip on our lives is that it partially actually works. And you'll be saying, wait a minute, you've been telling us for the past, 20 minutes that this stuff doesn't work, and now you're making a 180 degrees turn? And here is the essential key that I believe will bring clarity into why for some people the Lucky Girl Syndrome mentality might work and for others it won't. Carol Dweck, a Stanford University professor, has found that how students perceive their own abilities can influence their motivation and achievement. Those who have a growth mindset, which is a belief that intelligence can be developed, outperform those who believe that their intelligence is fixed. Practicing optimism by reframing your thoughts around a more positive mindset has been shown to build resilience and lead to better health. And mantras or affirmations, which are phrases repeated to oneself to elicit calm and confidence, have been shown to improve well-being. Self-talk has been shown to reduce fatigue during exercise, which in turn can lead to better performance. What's at the root of it is a psychological bias called illusory correlation, where we see things as related when in fact they were merely coincidences or chance occurrences. Repeating a mantra or an affirmation and having something good happen to us later that day is a perfect example of that. And it again perfectly relates to what we previously discussed about the reticular activating system, RAS, and noticing things which you have set out to notice. By shifting the way we perceive our realities, we feel like we are more lucky. And at the end of the day, if this makes us better, then is it such a bad thing? The second part of why the Lucky Girl Syndrome might work is linked with our own actions. And this is where I actually noticed very few people talking about it, because it is one thing to be waiting for good things to happen to us, and another thing to actually create space for those opportunities to happen. If one of your goals is to, let's say, find 100 euros on the ground in the city, but you actually never leave the house, then the possibility of this happening to you is infinitely smaller. If you want to get accepted at your dream job and you don't apply it, then it will also never happen. And if one of your goals is to become a good painter, but you never paint, then again, there is no environment created for those things to happen. And here is where I think that the Lucky Girl Syndrome might be useful, in the sense that it gives us the motivation to actually start working towards our dreams without second-guessing ourselves. It encourages us to create a mindset based on the inherent assumption of success instead of failure, which creates an opportunity window for us to actually put in the physical work that will bring us closer to what we are trying to achieve. So ultimately, yes, it was your own work that made you achieve your goals, but to be able to do that work, you needed to put yourself in the right mindset, for which the Lucky Girl mentality might be useful. The problems start appearing, I believe, when these mantras are used and expected to work in magical ways without actively working towards our goals. And this is where the disappointment can come in return, because at the end of the day, we can't control our luck. We can only train ourselves to either notice it more often or to actively create opportunities for it to occur. But these things are never clearly explained or broken down in any of these Lucky Girl Syndrome videos, partly because you can't really go too much in depth in a 1-minute TikTok video, and the other part being that it is, I think, more advantageous to make this whole concept as cryptic and confusing to keep people watching for a longer period of time. This is what is called engagement bait. Engagement bait is a tactic that makes people interact with your content. If in the past the most important thing in creating internet content was to make it as clickable as possible, to be able to generate a flux of people accessing your page with ads on it, now social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube pay more and more attention to how engaged the viewer is with consuming a specific type of content. For TikTok and the way the For You page works, I would say that engagement actually is the most important aspect of getting noticed by the algorithm. Because on TikTok, you don't actively look for content, you are given it automatically through the For You page. Thus, rebranding the positive mindset into a new concept like the lucky girl syndrome seems to be something that will make people curious about it and keep listening. And looking at how the topic is currently booming everywhere, it seems to be working. When watching any of these videos, there seems to be a common plot that is followed. First, you give your hook. My life changed drastically when I adopted the lucky girl syndrome, and it can work for you too. Then, you give a general background of an unhappy past that these girls were going through. I was working a 9-to-5 job that was making me miserable. I had financial difficulties. I was unfulfilled with my life. And this is where the viewer would actually relate with the creator and these hardships, which in turn tells us that the main demographic targeted through this type of content is a vulnerable one that is currently going through some hardships. And then you present the how-to, the magical solution. I started using mantras, I started telling people I am a lucky girl, and changed my mindset, and suddenly everything started to work out for me, and miracles started happening in my life, and most often than not, those miracles mean a bigger influx of income. And it's such a rush of dopamine. Personally, watching these types of videos, even when being aware of their pitfalls and the exact mechanisms employed to keep me watching, still gives me good brain chemicals. Because it presents us with a very easy solution that will supposedly solve all of our problems without any apparent drawbacks. I mean, I'll try it and it won't work, and then what? No big deal. I move on. But at the same time, what could happen if people started taking irresponsible decisions based on these videos and actually suffered? What would happen if people truly believed that just by manifesting being lucky and going gambling, for example, would make them win? What if they put on the line all that they have just because they believe that this is the secret to being lucky? Another TikToker talks about the dangers she sees with the lucky girl syndrome, and most notably that it resorts to individualistic responsibility. And in some situations, it is a cruel thing to do. She says, when it comes to adults, people have zero compassion. And when it comes to children, people are like, oh, okay, if a child has terminal illness, let's say like cancer, is there any way that that child could think enough positive thoughts to get out of that situation? Do you really think that the child wasn't thinking positively enough? Wasn't aligned to the right vibration? Or let's take it a step further. Do you think that their parents weren't thinking positively enough? And if they had thought that things are always working out for me, then their child would not have gotten sick? Thinking positive, having hope for the future, believing that things will work out in your favor, that's a great thing. But when we take it too far in the toxic spirituality, you hurt people. And what is lucky anyway? And how does our perception of what lucky looks like differ from one another? If you flip the coin the other way around, you would say that disabled people did not think positively enough, or that having the correct color of the skin, body type, or gender makes you luckier than others because of the privilege that they have. Telling people that they can wheel into being lucky can actually be profitable for these influencers. A quick search on Amazon already shows several self-help books and journal templates for sale for the lucky girl syndrome trend. And these influencers make money by supposedly giving you advice on how to achieve the life that they have. In a book called Cruel Optimism from the 1980s, written by Lauren Berlant, she talks about how the upward mobility and the American dream become paradoxically harder to achieve and more possible than ever. And the internet dynamic right now is built on a very intense flex culture. People flaunt their wealth, their houses, their vacations, their cars, their clothes. People also flaunt their passive incomes and the fact that they make money in their sleep. I'd get paid to exist. Wealth is my birthright. Say this affirmation for 21 days and watch how much money comes your way. Already up to $1,000, one person commented. When it comes to the problems that the universe is solving, it also tends to usually be first world problems, like wanting a promotion at work or aspiring to travel more, because these are the only types of creators we see that attest to the trend working. and in a severe case of correlation does not cause causation. Perhaps what these creators have in common is not necessarily that they were all practicing the lucky girls mentality, but just that they all come from privileged backgrounds. And at the same time, the lucky girl syndrome is one of the last chances for influencers to keep their relatability. Since their lives change so much when they start gaining a bigger followership, they lose the charm for which people started following them in the first place. Because their daily lives and problems become so different from the ones of their followers. The lucky girl syndrome is an attempt to show their followers that they are just like them. They just manifested really hard, and that you too can achieve everything they have if you just say your affirmations every day. In the Polyester podcast, Ayana and Eden talk about how a lot of these patterns of behaviors of believing in a higher power that blesses our lives can be traced back to economically or socially uncertain times, which is obviously what we are living now. And people feel really out of control. And so we have tarot cards, astrology readings. All of these things are ways for us to try and grasp at meaning in our lives when everything can seem meaningless. We are literally in a socioeconomic crisis. People cannot afford to heat up their houses and pay their bills. And you can't lucky girl syndrome your way out of paying the heating bill. And this individualistic responsibility is something that is overprevalent in our society lately. While in the past these kinds of spiritual practices were followed as a means to bring the community together, either through religion or cultural traditions, in today's climate in which space and time for people to get together are getting scarcer and scarcer, our spiritual practices are also shifting from a collective one to an individualistic one. In a world where we are given the right formula of actions that we need to follow in order to get a good life, and when this actually fails due to the unexpected events that happen on a personal level or even a global level, it creates an environment of emotional vulnerability in which we turn to spirituality and these kinds of esoteric theory to maybe get an answer of why things turned out the way that they did and whether there is actually a way to steer in the needed direction. But at the end of the day, I believe all of these trends we encounter are best approached with caution and critical thinking. Who is it actually supposed to serve? You, the viewer, or the person that keeps you engaged on their platform? Would delusionally thinking that nothing bad can ever happen to you be actually helpful? Or is this trend able to give you that extra confidence push to try out things you were always too skeptical or embarrassed to try because you automatically assumed that they would fail? It is true that many of us have had our dreams invalidated and our aspirations made fun of. And perhaps believing that we are lucky enough to reap the rewards of the work that we do might be a breath of fresh air. Luck comes immensely from privilege, which most of the time we cannot change. But it might also come from the opportunities that we create for ourselves. And that, I believe, might be a good take-home message from this whole lucky girl repackaged positive thinking TikTok trend. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, do not hesitate to interact with the buttons below, and see you soon. Bye!